We heard from the National Prosecuting Authority on the Estina Dairy Matter being struck off the roll. We're very alive to Judge Celeste Reinder's pronouncement that the matter is struck off temporarily and that should the state indicate in writing that they're ready for the trial, this may be considered. But as matters stand, the 280 million rand Estina Dairy project matter has been struck off the roll for not being trial ready. Elton Hart of the University of Johannesburg's Law Clinic joins us for analysis. A very good evening to you, Elton. Thank you for your time. I mean, this 280 million rand Estina Dairy matter being struck off the roll today, having spoken to the NPA a short while ago, they're saying that from as early as 2023, as part of the disclosure process, the state had provided the defense with hard copies of the Gupta leaked emails, but of course, it wasn't good enough. How should one make sense of today's outcome?
No, for me, looking at what transpired in court, I think what Judge Celeste Reinder's did was fair to the defense cause. Remember, in terms of Section 35, the accused persons is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt, and they need to be given a fair trial. Now, for the NPA to come and say that, yes, we've given you hard copies, but we know that you can tamper with documents and then create it in a hard copy. And the defense was right in asking for the original electronic versions of these Gupta links so that they can see was there tampering with the evidence to say it's genuine and authentic. And for the state now to only provide them with, I think it's 6 weeks ago, with hard drives to say that the documents is there. And on the own version of the spokesperson of the NPA, he says this is a complex case. He expects the defense to prepare that on that electronic documents within 6 weeks, while they had like more than a year to prepare on these things. So is it fair? You want to rush somebody to prepare, but you don't want to be rushed to present your case. So what's good for the geese is good for the gander. So that's how I see it. So they shouldn't come now, because he himself on live TV with you now, and I saw it, he said this is a complex case. Now he wants to postpone for 2 weeks for them to go through the documents while they had like so long. It's not fair.
And, you know, the other things that came to the forefront as we had our discussion, the NPA being adamant that this matter will be reinstated as soon as possible. They couldn't give us a time frame because they're saying that they were always ready to proceed with the case, even adding that they had lined up witnesses. How will the process of reinstatement work? Is it really as simple as it sounds?
I think it's not that difficult to reinstate because the NPA is, as they say, it's dominus litis. They can prefer charges. But luckily for the accused persons now, the judge made in her order to say that this matter will only be re-enrolled once the NDPP or the DPP Free State has given written authorization that they proceed with this case. So they will have to go and look at it very nicely. Now you know, in 2018 this matter was removed from the roll. Now again it's struck off the court roll. Now the NPA, if they are not ready on the third time enrolling this matter, they're opening themselves up for where the defense now can bring an application to stay the proceedings in terms of Section 35(3)(d) of the Constitution. And once that is stayed, that case will never see the light of day. So they must be very careful as to what they're trying to do, because they're trying to press something ripe that's not yet ripe, because they need to make sure that all their ducks is in a row. Otherwise, they will have problems in future.
Yeah. Would you say that they were back on caught on the back foot? I mean, I did ask the NPA this question and, of course, maneuvering around it. But is that essentially what may have happened in terms of the time frames that were given and the documents, the digital version not being supplied on time, although they insist that they had a technical expert who was there to assist them, but that was still not good enough?
For me, that argument did not hold water, that they say that they had a technical expert to assist them. Because it's their expert. The defense is entitled to bring their own expert, because they don't know what the NPA's expert was instructed to do with that data and present it in a specific way. They need to bring their own expert to interrogate that data and give them an explanation as to what they see there. So for me, I think the NPA was caught with strong arguments from the defense team, because you have to look at prejudice for the accused, the nature of the circumstances and the case, the nature of the circumstances surrounding the case, and obviously one looks at the systemic delays. And the systemic delays here, unfortunately, it was on the part of the NPA. The accused did nothing wrong, because this case was on the roll, it was removed and again re-enrolled. So the delays was always there. So For me, I just saw prejudice on the side of the NPA, and the NPA is lucky that the judge did not make an order that they pay the costs for the accused that they incurred so far in legal proceedings up until this point. I think the judge should actually do that, should have done that, so that the NPA know in future when we bring cases, we must make sure a case is trial ready. Before we put things on the court roll and then it gets struck off the court roll.
I mean, because today's judgment follows the defense application where they had argued that the state is not ready and have not made full disclosure of its investigation to the accused, how was the defense able to argue through the muscle of Section 324A of the Criminal Procedure Act?
No, for the defense, because as I said, you look at the prejudice to the accused, the nature of or the circumstances of this case, and this is a complex case, and also the systemic delays that was built into it. And they used, like, obviously, they first asked the court to say, refuse them further postponements, and then they actually now tapped into Section 35 of the Constitution to say that they have a right to speedy trial. Of course, this matter was on roll up until 2018. It was removed, and again in 2022 it's enrolled again.
Yeah.
So it's like over, I think there's now already, I think it's maybe a lifespan of 6 years in this case, if it's not more, in this case that this accused has been brought before court. And that unreasonable delay can actually affect how they prepare, and it can also impact on the type of legal representation that they could get. So they had everything going for them to actually bring this application, and now it's already 2 times off the roll. So the third time, I think the NPA brings this case to court and they're not ready to proceed for whatever delays that is caused by them. They are going to see the defense team on the back heels again, and now I think they would push for stay of the prosecution in this matter.
Yeah. What message do you think that today's outcome sends to those who are, victims? Because the bottom line is that the Estina Dairy project destroyed the lives of the people and communities it was supposed to empower and uplift. What sort of messaging do such delays send to those people who are hoping that justice will be served?
Now, then it comes back to that old saying, justice delayed is justice denied. And I think the case is dragging so long, it makes people lose interest in the case. And actually, you might also get to a position where witnesses maybe die or witnesses disappear. And then your case just goes from a certain level of strength to a lower level of strength. And that is all these predicaments that's built into the system if you drag cases so long. And I think speaking to the Zondo Commission, I thought back then, for me, the Zondo Commission, what they did there, it was an exercise that did not have bite. They can say it was groundwork done, but they could have easily employed people in the Hawks, the SIU, to actually do all these investigations. And based on that check, is there merit to charge all these individuals? And do we have a high probable chance of actually succeeding with the preferred charges against these people? And I think then a lot of taxpayers' money would have been saved. So for us as taxpayers, this is a concern that you see so much money is being spent and on a commission that doesn't have bite, and yet you see a case that is now dragging for over 6 years, and yet it's not really ready to proceed. So how much money are the taxpayers going to spend on these types of cases going forward if this is the second one that's already suffering the same fate?
Yeah, because essentially it's taking us back now to the conversation about the justification of the State Capture Commission and its exorbitant price tag as we, try and get a sense of whether or not there have been any successful prosecutions ever since.
No, indeed. So, and for me, it's like what has happened at the State Capture Commission. I think that could have been the work that was done by the NPA. They just needed to give the NPA resources and make sure whoever investigates, they have a senior prosecutor guiding that investigation. And I think that's high time that our investigating teams in the Hawks, SIUs, even in the police, are being guided by prosecutors who's veterans, who's trained on specific crimes, and especially these types of commercial crimes, money laundering, to guide the investigation, make sure that we get the right evidence and bring it before court at the right time, and not raise because the community and public is looking at us and there's maybe elections on the forefront that people is trying to grind things through and not actually doing the right things.
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us and helping us make sense of this matter. Of course, speaking there to Elton Hart, who is the University of Johannesburg's Law Clinic, joining us from there to unpack the latest developments and the response of the National Prosecuting Authority this evening, wanting to reinstate the Estina Vrede Dairy case.